Hey, here we are, Chiro Mafia, and we got our Mafia brothers here. Joe Borio, he's over there in Puglia, Italy. I'm just hanging off the balcony in Amalfi Coast, and we got another Italian brother, all generations from Napoli. He is DNA through and through and through. This is all. This is truly Chiro Mafia here, Dr. Doug DiSiena. So
Hey, thank you, Fred.
Thanks for hanging out with us, man.
Doug, to have you on is awesome. Couple of quick things, Fred. We're circling back. You said all generations. I assume I'm the youngest, the earliest on generations.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah, you are.
And then talking about generations, Doug, we cut you off to get live, but you were talking about your family. Where are you guys from?
So the three of the four are from Napoli, Napolitan.
See.
And then my mother's dad was from Sicily, and everybody else didn't consider him a real Italian.
You're right.
Yeah. So one Sicilian and the three were Napoli.
Wow, that's cool. And then what?
Yep.
They came over when they were married, young? How'd that go?
Yeah, they sometime on the boat as teenagers because they wanted to leave fascist Italy. And so they wanted to come to America and went to New York. They migrated from New York to Cleveland, and that's where my parents met, and it's all history from there.
That's cool. And then
so I grew up, with my mom making those the pasta on the Sunday table every Sunday. Oh man, and the sauce boiling all day long. When you come back from church, you dip that homemade bread in that sauce.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And I'll pinching the raviolis, rolling the gnocchis.
That's it,
seeing
baby.
the noodles hang on the racks all around the kitchen.
Dude, there's nothing better.
Oh my God, man. You just pressed your tongue against the roof of your mouth and those noodles just melted right in your mouth.
So
good.
Yeah.
And I love to cook to this day.
My grandmother had a, which it sounds like, we all grew up with that type of kitchen, but she had such a simple kitchen. She had a piece of like plywood and a kind of a homemade rolling pin. And that was it. And I think a fork. And, she could make, right? They could make just any kind of pasta. And it was always good. It was like magic with that plywood and rolling pin, man. It was amazing.
I remember that. Or a spoon or your thumb.
Yeah.
Dude, my grandfather used to get up in the morning. We'd all come out and he would just open the fridge, take a boatload of leftovers, throw it all together, chuck some eggs in it. And it was like the most amazing scramble that you can't buy anywhere. It's
right.
It's got some meatballs and some sausage and some pasta and some peppers and garlic. And it's like he's just whipping it up, man. There's a scramble for you, Italian scramble. You can't buy that anywhere.
I just got
leftovers.
Hey, I just got a total brainstorm. I think we should do a chiropractic total immersion in Italy. Because, the one thing to be a successful chiropractor is you have to be a lover. Italians are lovers. Could you imagine if you brought in people into Italy and did like an immersion in Italy? Like, you couldn't help but to grow your practice.
Joe's got a house there, man.
Yeah.
Well, Joe, we're coming over.
Okay. No problem.
He's invited me like for 5 years now. You stay out there for what, 2 months?
Oh yeah, last summer we did 3 months. This year we're shooting for 6 months. So
wow,
nice.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, we're good with the lovers and we're good with our hands. So think about that. You're great with your hands as a chiropractor. So it's destiny that we're chiropractors, right?
It's so awesome. So true.
By the way, since we are on Chiro Mafia podcast and we do have all the talents, you probably noticed that 3 of us will be all talking at the same time.
Yeah, that's normal. We're not yelling, just so you know.
Pick someone, just pick someone you want to listen to, because we're all going to be talking at the same time.
Doug, so how do you go from grandma and grandpa coming, or your parents coming from Italy, to you being a chiropractor? What's that story?
Well, that's a great story. I've told it many times, but I'll tell you that I was super sick. My parents had this whole background in chiropractic. My dad was a paratrooper. He's a third of 3 boys, and his 2 other siblings were in World War II. The oldest actually was in Normandy, and he survived. And so, as you know, the third kid doesn't have to go, but my dad graduated from high school. He signed up for the Army, and he was jumping out of airplanes, and he got migraines. He went to a chiropractor, and it helped his migraines. And so he thought that chiropractors were good for migraines. Chiropractor never told him the story. And then later on, he hurt his back. Eventually went to the chiropractor. Mom hurts her neck in a whiplash type car accident injury. She saw a chiropractor. Everybody had great success.
So now it's back pain, neck pain, and migraines.
Right. So that was
Exactly.
that's their paradigm, right? And then I'm growing, as I'm growing up, I developed what they thought was asthma. And then from asthma, it was actually diagnosed with neurogenic chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. I literally have a collapsed right lung. I got so bad that I was for almost 2 years, I was bent over my bed. My dad would do pulmonary cupping on my back, and I'd go back on my back. He'd put oxygen on my face. I repeated the cycle for almost 2 years.
And that was every night. That his dad would do that every night so he could sleep. Sorry, I'm cutting in your story.
No, it's
every
good.
night. And then the emotions are coming back every time I tell the story. And the worst part of my life at that time was when I had an office visit with the doctor who had the white coat, who knows everything. There's your priest and there's your doctor, right? And he told my mother in the hallway, 5 feet away from a 17-year-old kid who lost 50 pounds, is on 5 prescriptive medications, cannot sleep, had really weird hallucinogenic issues because of the lack of sleep.
Yeah.
And he told my mom, we've done everything we can. I think it's just in his head. So I was a medical failure. I was a reject. And then long story short, my buddy comes by, picks me up on his bike. He goes, I'm going to take you to a gym to join a gym. Turns out that the first 20 members gets a free spinal evaluation. I had no reason to take advantage of it because I had no neck pain or headaches,
Sure.
right? Or back pain for that matter. But then I found out he works out with Arnold Schwarzenegger. And okay, I'm going to take advantage of this because I just want to meet this guy.
Was that Franco Colombo?
No, it was Dan Howard. It was his workout partner as well. All-American wrestler, 6'5" Dude, I never had high blood pressure, but the very first visit with him, I was freaking out. He said, no, your blood pressure's a little higher. Dude, 6'5". Like, I didn't know what he was going to do to my, I'm 135 pounds. Anyway, he starts adjusting my neck, and within 6 weeks, I'm breathing again. And I heard God tell me this. He goes, you're going to be a chiropractor, and you're going to give people hope where hope is lost. And so since I was 17, all I wanted to do was get my hands on people and releasing that innate intelligence.
Okay, tell them the story about your attempted suicide before that, though. And the significance of this story is, you come into the world with a purpose, man. We chose to be chiropractors before we come here. And if you don't believe that, and you think you just ran into chiropractic, I would change your belief system.
Right.
But this is a story that shows, man, our spirit comes in, and even if you try and take yourself out, it won't work because you got a purpose.
So I had an MGB convertible, and the day that doctor told me that, I'm thinking, okay, well, the smartest people on the planet, the medical doctors, they basically said that they have no hope for me, and I'm basically have to live this way for the rest of my life. And I didn't really want to live this way. So I figured out the best possible way I can kill myself. And I had an MG, like I said, put the top down. I took my seatbelt off, and there was a corner going into Huntington Beach, California. And I thought if I just rolled my car, I would have, my neck would break instantaneously, and it would be a quick kind of suicide. And as it turned out, my car spun out. It didn't roll. And then it was 2 days later that the guy picked me up on his motorcycle. And then it was 6 weeks later that I was on that same street in that same car. This time I had purpose and vision.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing?
That's awesome.
Remember that guy, I think he used to run for Oregon. What was that track star? He ran the Olympics, and he rolled his MG and killed himself.
I do know that. Yep.
Yeah. What was his name? Fontaine. Fontaine.
Yep.
Yeah. So, man,
that was the singer from The Godfather.
Yes, it was. Joe, you are so funny.
Say that again.
It was the singer from The Godfather. Remember, it was like Frank
remember?
Fontaine.
Yeah.
He was supposed to be Frank Sinatra in the show. So
Nice. So anyway, man, so shit, you
wow.
went to school, you got the principal, then what happened? So now so literally you heard God's voice, said you're gonna be a chiropractor, you're gonna
Yep.
give people hope where there's no hope, and then what happened?
Yep. I became a chiropractor. I do okay in practice, seeing 100 people or so a week, making a living, but I knew there was something missing. And then that's when I met up with Guy Reekman, and Guy Reekman goes, all of the best chiropractors do one thing, they go to DE. I go, DE, what in the heck is DE? And he goes, that's Sid Williams. I remember thinking of Sid Williams as some crazy dude. But anyway, I got
Which he
my
was.
ticket to Georgia. I went to DE. My next door neighbor was Ron Oberstein. We immediately became best of friends. I go down to the, it was at the Waverly Hotel.
Yep.
Are you still there? What happened?
Yeah.
No, we're good.
Okay. And I went to the Waverly Hotel, and I met up with like Sigafus and Ian Grassam, and all these people just like talking to me. I'm like these guys are seeing like 1,000 people a week, and I'm seeing 100 people a week. I'm like, well, I'm capable of doing much more than I am, and changed my life. I met some of the most amazing people, and then my practice really took on a whole new meaning after that.
Yeah, that's
old school principle, man.
Yep.
Joe's
so I
got
was
a
on
Reggie
fire.
Gold story.
Been 40 years, 1 month and 17 days.
Damn.
I've been in practice. I'm
He said,
still
damn,
seeing.
because you did that math so fast. That's why he
Yeah,
said,
that was impressive.
I'm still in practice, still doing it. I love it. I've been blessed. I have a multiple 7-figure practice, and do the fun things I like to do. And actually, this last year was our biggest year ever in practice. So God's blessing it, and it's growing, and we're touching lots of lives.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
He's also, I'm telling Doug's story, he's also an ordained minister. So brings spirituality, and, both you guys are it's like when you meet Doug, man, if you don't love Doug, I'd say this about you too, Joe. If you meet these guys and you don't love them, there's something wrong. There's something that you're projecting.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's something about yourself. And, I love the story of how I met Joe's at New Beginnings. Like, we kind of knew about each other, but never met. He goes, hey, man, I got an extra lunch ticket. You want to have lunch? That was it. We were best friends from that on.
Free food.
That is a free food.
Words. And then Doug, we practiced in Orange County together, and I always knew of him. And you held a group, chiropractic group, to get together. You have like hundreds of chiropractors.
Yeah, we had hundreds of chiropractors meet every month. It was a philosophy group. It was pretty awesome. We had every who's who coming in and speaking at our group. We had Sid Williams, we had Sigafus, we had Ian Grassam, who was by far if there's one man I wish I can resurrect for the profession, it would be Ian Grassam, by the way. I got
to interrupt you. I knew Ian Grassam. No one even knows, like, he's a name that like nobody even knows about. And I felt the same connection with that guy. I bring his name up sometimes. I mean, it's scary. Some of the other guys, they don't know. And he is just, nobody knows that name. So
unless you're a DE. Unless you're a DE. If you weren't there, you don't know him.
Yeah.
Well, he is number one, the best public debater for chiropractic I've ever seen. Yeah. And he has a lecture that I still have on recorded. It's in my phone. And about every 90 days, I listen to it. And I have to tell you guys something. He was talking about that every so often, the medical profession needs some sort of scary virus, bacterium, or something outside of you that you have no ability to heal from. And it's a scary thing that if you don't go to their drugs, potions, or lotions, and you don't take their treatment, you're going to die. And he was so prophetic, because sure enough, we just lived through what Ian Grassam said they do every so often.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
they could revalidate themselves, you know, or
They do. But here's what I don't understand. If there was a report card for medicine, they would get a big fat F. Like they would fail. They do terrible. Our health as a country is horrific. We did the worst during COVID. We spent more money. We spent 4 times more money than any other country does.
Yes.
So I don't understand how the medical profession continues to be the arbiter of what we call healthcare.
Yeah.
Because people don't know
I
about
think their
chiropractic,
crisis
right?
care, they use crisis care to justify their chronic care. You know, I mean, obviously crisis care is great and thank God it's there, but crisis care is utilized to leverage them as a cultural authority for their chronic care because people are like, wow, geez, you can take somebody's heart and put it in. That's amazing. Medicine's awesome. Not realizing, well, 90% of those surgeries wouldn't be necessary if they weren't handling the chronic care in the first place.
Right.
Hey, we
Like
came up with this one liner on the Chiro Mafia podcast. Like, I think this is from you, Joe. Hey, medicine is #1 in crisis, but if you go there for health, you're going to end up in a crisis.
That's so true.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was a Chiro Mafia podcast original, by the way.
Yeah,
that's so true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're trying to teach our people there's another way, man. We're trying to show our people more than even whether or not they totally get the principle. We teach them a life without fear. We think that that's something important that every one of our patient members needs to know about. And so that's why we do a talk on a weekly basis. And we empower our patients to know that they have that wisdom within, and that's far greater than anything on the outside.
Well, two things I want to point out. And one is you still do weekly talks after 40 years. And you look at people that don't do weekly workshops. It's like you're missing it on a huge level. So after 40 years, that's why he's got a multi-million-dollar practice. And when you go to his practice, there are people that have been coming for years, and you see families everywhere, right? He's got a lifestyle practice.
Yep. I still have patient number 2, actually. He drives all the way 1.5 to 2 hours from the mountains to come down and see me. Patient number 1 moved to Texas, unfortunately, during the pandemic. But patient number 2 still comes in, man.
Good for you. Yeah.
Not only that, but
go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go for it.
You know, during COVID, man, you didn't wear masks, and you're in Irvine, which was has a very liberal mayor. Doug, are you there? Did we lose him? So anyway, he's got a very liberal mayor in that city, and he had cops coming multiple times, and you know, they threatened to shut him down.
Oh, I didn't know that. Holy shit.
Oh yeah, man. He had cops like, I think it was like 7 times show up, and the first cop started to threaten him, and he pulled him back in the room, basically stuck his finger in the cop's face and told him, you can't make us do anything. And then by the time the 6th, 7th cop came around, they're like, look, man, I got to show up, you know, and they told him, keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Then they gave him accolades.
Well, I think there was legalities, like, I think they came in, like, even in New York, where there was this threat, but technically they didn't have the authority. But, you know, the average person, they don't know that. And you come in, you're like,
no, they get scared. They're based on your fear because they can't, you know, they said it's a law. Well, the law is any law that's repugnant to the Constitution, which you have you got your spiritual rights. And the 4th Amendment says you have control over your body. You have control over your possessions, right? They can't force you to wear a mask or do anything. And any person that takes an oath to uphold the Constitution, if they break constitutional law, you can sue them civilly. And it's called acting in the color of the law. So when all this shit went down, we had a constitutional attorney that had it printed out all our rights. So if somebody shows up and you show them this piece of paper, here's exactly what you say, and they know it's true. The board can't shut you down. The law can't shut you down. Public health couldn't shut you down. And if they try to shut you down, you can sue them for lost income. Every day that you close, you can sue them. And they tried to fine people. And all you do is get an attorney. They can't even legally collect the fines.
Right. Yeah.
because I have chiropractors with attorneys in Washington and all these liberal states. And they've been, threatened with fines multiple times. Their attorneys don't pay them. They don't pay them,
Yeah.
and nobody comes asking.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
you
it's
hear these
scary.
stories. Well, they got fined and they paid. No, that you submitted.
Right.
And you got to decide what battle you want to fight. So
Correct. But it is
anyway,
scary. It is, on multiple levels. And, there are some, you know, powers that be. And we were talking about this, I think, a couple calls ago, but, whatever your political affiliation is, you look at what they're doing to Trump and the level of censorship, and what they're doing to people, what happened during COVID, the level of censorship. I mean, to me, that's really what's scary. It is that 1984. It's not misinformation. It's not disinformation. It's we're going to hide the information. It's lying through concealment, and it is frightening because then the average person is, they don't know. They don't have our mission, purpose, why. They don't have an understanding that the body can heal, and they don't even look at that. Well, the body can't heal unless I get some outside intervention, right? So they're thinking outside in, and then these, they're succumb to anything, especially stimulated by fear. And then what happens? You make bad choices, or they lose their civil rights, or control. They get control. So you look at chiropractic where it is. I mean, I think the great news, not that I'm always thrilled when I see some of the content out there, but I mean, it is great that you do see guys out there adjusting. Not that I'm a big advocate of some of the techniques that they show, but you got chiropractic's not hidden anymore. People are walking in, getting adjusted, getting moved. They're getting up right after, like, wow, that was great. I feel better. I mean, that ain't a bad thing.
no.
And for the profession. And I think in the end, it really drives us and helps us as a profession to get our message out. And then if you take that when somebody comes in, like you and I would, Fred, and we teach people the steps in order to educate and lead, create believers in what we do, and then create soldiers in what we do, right? I mean, you end up creating soldiers in chiropractic for what we do, and then they go out there and spread the mission. You create those disciples. I always tell docs, hey, listen, man, Jesus only had 12, and one of them tried to kill him. You know what I mean? They still took over the world. So it's like, you need 11 loyal subjects, and you can kick some ass in this world.
Absolutely. And on that political conversation, I don't really give a crap about any party. The thing is, but don't take away my rights.
Yeah.
So I don't care what party anybody's in, but you're not taking away our rights. And we have a chiropractic purpose. You can't infringe on the health choices of people.
Right.
And so I don't know what happened to Doug. I think he's trying to get back on, but
yeah, I understand.
My hat goes off to people that say, no, you can't step on us. And
right.
It's interesting because the people that I coached through there, the ones that took a stand grew exponentially, but we only out of the, we're not the biggest group by any stretch, but we probably had, 150 clients or so at that time. And we only had 3 that were stressed. I can think of 3 clinics, and everybody else was like, thank God that we coached with you,
Yes.
coming in. And I'm sure you're the same.
Yes.
Because you teach the principle and you teach how to communicate it. Because
we
they
didn't
weren't
have one
worried.
office go down. None. Not one
Yeah.
office.
Yeah. No, we didn't have one go down.
That's great.
So yeah, so that was awesome.
Yeah.
So I don't know what happened to Doug. God, it was a great story, man.
Yeah. So then the next question is like, where do we go from here? Where does the profession go? You see, and I'm sure, I talked to an old timer once, and he said, "Oh, the sky's always been falling in chiropractic. Sky's always falling." But I just don't want us to become that natural allopathy. And I see too many, especially the young docs who come out of school, they're trained that way, and it's all back pain, neck pain, and therapy, and people are losing sight of what a chiropractor is. Like physical therapy is freaking awesome. I've benefited from it many times, but we're not physical therapists. Nutrition's great, but we're not nutritionists. Doesn't mean we don't value that. And then brushing her teeth's great. I don't do that. I don't clean her teeth. I mean, bone's crooked. Let's get that in a good place. Like you always say, Fred, it's not the curve, it's the cord. And let's work on that integrity of the nervous system, get the body healthy. That's what we do as chiropractors. We nurture the nervous system through caring for the spine in order to allow a full expression of human potential. I mean, in the end, that's what we're doing. And if we could get our head around that and talk that way, people are dying literally and figuratively for what we offer each and every day. So
Oh, absolutely, man. And one thing I love about you is your one-liners, Like I get on coaching calls and then you listen to, well, how long's your ROF taken? And you're like, what? Like some
yeah,
people, obviously, it's like if you're taking 30 minutes, you're not doing what we told you to do.
yeah.
And I'd say you're better off than teach. You're not an ROF is not a workshop, by the way.
Right.
That's not a new patient workshop, right? They don't
Right.
care what you know. I go, watch Chiro Mafia because this report of findings would be better. Okay, here's where your spine should be. Here's where it is. If
Right.
crooked is sick and straight is healthy, and here's where yours is, are you straight or crooked? I'm crooked. Are you healthy or sick? I'm sick. Well, how do you want to live the rest of your life?
Exactly.
You want to be sick? You want to be healthy? I want to be healthy. Well, would you agree you got to get healthy first? Yeah. And then we're going to teach you how to stay healthy the rest of your life. So
Exactly.
questions, let's go through what it's going to take to get healthy. Like that would be more effective
Yes.
than the
Yes.
person talking for 30 minutes.
Yeah. Forget about it.
Yeah, forget about it. It's like, what do you want? It's like, Doc, what's wrong? Well, what do you think what's wrong? There's an Italian,
Exactly.
right? Italians don't give answers.
What do you think the problem? That's right.
Yeah, what do you
Exactly.
think the problem is?
Never answer a question. It's very valuable during FBI investigations.
Yeah.
Did you kill that woman? I don't know. Do you think I killed that woman?
Yeah. Is your name Fred DiDomenico? Well, what do you think my name is?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's
saw
funny,
somebody, I
man.
think it was one of the other docs coaches out there, and I loved what he said because he was saying, I can't remember who it was, but I think he was doing an X-ray report, and he was like, show normal, show abnormal, and then ask, what do you see? What's the concern? Like that's one of the arts that I know you teach and I teach, Fred, of just don't tell, to teach is to tell, educate, draw it out of them. They already know straighter's healthier than crooked, and they already know their brain tells their body what to do, and they already know their brain talks to their body through their spine. So they already have the three principles that we need to share. Is your spine straight? What's it doing to the nerves? What happens to the messages? What happens to you? You healthier or you're sicker when it's crooked like that? I'm sicker, and like you say, how do you want to live the rest of your life? Healthier. All right, well, what do we got to do? Can you continue on the way you're going and be healthy? No. Do you think you're going to stay the same? Well, I'm going to think about it. Well, I can appreciate that, and I get that you're going to think about it. Let me ask you a question. You think you're going to stay the same if you don't get care? Well, I don't know. It's been bugging me for years. Well, I appreciate that. Do you do that with your teeth? Like, don't brush your teeth for 3 months. Are they going to get healthier or sicker? Sicker. So what makes you think your spine's going to stay the same or not get sicker if you don't take care of it? You stupid son of a bitch. Sometimes you got to smack them. I mean, you and I both know that, Fred. There are people. That's why you got to have a door on your reported findings room. You got to smack them in the head. Sometimes that's all they're going to get, man.
Dude, if they say, well, I don't know, first you smack them and then you ask those questions.
Exactly.
Otherwise, they're not going to understand the questions. You got to smacking them first is a pattern interruption. I mean, how were we raised, man? Did your parents ask you a question or they smack you first?
Exactly.
It's like, boom, when they're walking by, right? That's why I got a cowlick. It's from getting smacked in the head. My hair's sticking up in the back of my head.
I gotta have my mother in there and open the door. If I tell my mother, if I knock on the door and open it, just throw the spoon, boom, dude, hit the guy in the head. All right. Let's try that one more time. Okay. Let's try that question one more time.
Let me ask you again.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's funny. And here's the thing, man, like we go through this because one of the things that chiropractic has missed, like they set the core values. Well, we want patients to know lifestyles. We want them to bring in families. But what they don't do is they don't set standards.
Right.
So it's like setting a high jump bar at 7.2. Man, you can't jump 5 feet under a 7.2 bar and then get on the mat like you won the gold medal. What's happening? Well, we want families, but what's your standard? We want 8 out of 10 people or 9 out of 10 bringing their family. We want 9 out of 10 living a chiropractic lifestyle. We want 100% of every patient, their hand touches the door, that they know chiropractic is a healthcare lifestyle, right? And so it's like, So, we look at, okay, well, if you look at your schedule and you have 30% bringing families, but you have a standard of 80 or 90%, then you can't continue to do what you're doing and raise it from 30 to 80.
Right.
You have to change.
Right.
And so this is what's great about this podcast is if your strategy is patient education and you got 30%, it ain't working. And what you do, and we teach is so powerful, is when you ask a question, you change a belief system.
Right. Exactly.
Lifestyle is a belief system.
Yes.
And even though like you're educating, the education is automatic. Information is automatic. But when you ask a question, you're changing their beliefs.
Yes.
And people live according to their belief systems.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's how you get them in line. And that's what you do. You ask a shitload of questions.
Yes. I think a lot of times too that you end up, and I'm just thinking of this now, like you almost many times you reveal their belief system. Like I think some of them
Absolutely.
are of that belief, but they almost don't know. It's behind a curtain. They're like, and all of a sudden you reveal that curtain. You open the curtain and you reveal it to them. You're like, oh yeah, okay. That's why it is the way. That's what, what? I do believe that. And I almost didn't even know that. But now that you've revealed it to me, and that's how, my brain works, or that makes so much sense that, wow, yeah, I do. That does make sense. I do need to get that care, and
Well, and here's another thing from the opposite perspective, because how many people say things that have no freaking logic? And then you get all irritated because you're like, well, that's ridiculous. But when someone says something, there you are, brother, and I see that smiling face. When someone says something that has no logic, you ran into a belief system.
right,
And then
exactly.
they don't even agree. Sometimes they don't even agree with what they
Yes,
said.
exactly. So until you connect the dots, and then they're like, oh, wow, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Hey, Doug, before we lost you, I wanted to ask you a question. So, and if you don't mind, you don't have to give me all the details, but, Fred and I are pretty close on how we handle people walking in and taking them, leading them to an understanding of chiropractic. What do you guys do? Like when in your practice, what do you guys do? Joe Borio comes walking in, I'm new. Like, how do you kind of manage me through? How do you lead me to lifetime care?
Well, I think we have the type of practice that you have. I understand you have a high retention practice, right?
Yes,
So we don't advertise. I don't get people coming in from Google who don't know me or what I do. So the vast majority of people who come in was referred by a patient,
sure,
or they came in through my talk, right? So
sure.
so they're already in my talk, and then they come in. So the consultation is merely an extension of the talk that I gave. Uh, the vast majority of my patients already came to a talk, which is quite fascinating. And I do
So you're
three different
saying
types
they
of
know
talks in my practice,
lifestyle
by the way.
already.
What's that,
They know
Fred?
chiropractic healthcare system when they're coming in.
Yeah, they're
Yeah. So it's not.
pre-qualified to some level.
I don't correct. I don't have to transition a person.
Right.
And again, it's so rare that I get a cold patient, so to speak,
Sure,
who has
sure,
no idea what we do. That it's I tend to refer those guys to my other doctors anyway. But
sure.
but again, most of my patients, because again, my number one new patient here's the deal. I only market my practice one day a week, really. And that's in my talk, which is mandatory for everybody to come to. And then when you come to the talk, if you haven't brought your spouse or loved ones, you have to come back to the talk and bring them so they know what we are doing, because we're
Right,
a family type practice. It makes you would never have Mr. Smith go to a dentist and leave his kids home and not have
right,
dental care, right?
correct.
It's the paradigm doesn't even make sense in my head that you would come in as a patient and not bring your entire family.
Right.
So the
Well,
family
now
has to
hang
come
on a
through.
sec, Doug,
Okay.
because we had this conversation before, and you go through that right in the consultation. Like I think you told me, if they don't want to live a chiropractic lifestyle, then you don't take them as a patient.
Right. We have a kind of like a
We
come to
lost your
Jesus
video,
moment.
brother.
I lost my video.
Yeah.
I'm having nothing but issues here.
All right.
There you
There you
go.
go. Yeah, so we discussed it right then and there what their intentions are, and we have to have alignment, right? You wouldn't go to say an oncologist and not have the same agreed upon outcome that you want. So my outcome that I want is to provide wellness care for not only for them but for their entire family. So I make that upfront. And if they don't understand that, at least I want a good reason why they are going to reject the notion of bringing their family in. Because if they know what I do, how would they not want to bring their family in? So it really just comes down to them not understanding what we do. And so then I have to sit down again and explain to them what we do. And then after I explain to them what we do, I have about a 99% people who say, okay, I understand it, we'll bring my family in. But if they don't, and
So
if
does
they
that go
just
right on day one? I mean, you're getting
that goes
family
on
referrals
in
right
my
on day one.
oh yeah, my consultations, because in my form, not only do I want to obviously um, give them an application into my practice, but we want the whole entire family, right? So it's not
Right.
just one new patient you're getting one new patient plus
Husband,
Mr. and
wife,
Mrs.
kids.
Yeah, everybody. So and then we have a family type of a fee system, which allows a family to come in with a minimal extra cost for the rest of the family. It just makes no sense not to come in with the family. I even tell I said, if you look at the costs that I charge you for the rest of the family, I'm pretty much paying for you to bring your family in. Like I'm pretty much coming out of pocket to allow that to happen. How would you not want that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's not that you're
Exactly.
giving away care. I mean, you're getting paid, and
I
you
am.
have a multi-million-dollar practice.
I am getting paid, but the point of it is the first initial member of the practice pays the vast majority of the fee, right?
Yes.
And then the subsequent people pay a significantly discounted fee. So um,
Yeah. I love
it
that.
just makes sense to have the family
Yeah.
come in.
Yeah, I remember Reggie was my mentor, and one of his great lines were, when he was evaluating fees, he said, can you afford your fee? Like, can you, short of a student, opening the office, like, do you find your fees to be affordable for you if you were to be going to yourself with your
Right.
family, and set up your fees to where, it's affordable. Not that you're going to give it away, but and then the other part of it is we all know because we run businesses, you want your overhead to be low. You got to be smart, and because my dad always said it's not what you make, it's what you keep, so
Right.
so the bottom line is what are you paying for electric and heat and rent and all those things that Fred and I drive through the docs we work with in order to be able to run an office. And hey, we want to serve people and help people, and we want to live a great life doing it. So you got to have your business hat on as well, Sid always said, so
Yes, you do.
Absolutely.
And we have a lot of like add-on services that you come in as a basic family plan, and there's from there there's room for them to buy into more aspects of my practice that are add-ons. And so that's really where a lot of extra generation of our income comes from.
And
yeah.
then, but also, because lots of people have software and they have all these other things, all these other laser, and they have all these other technologies. However, your patients get chiropractic lifestyle. Like they got to get chiropractic lifestyle first. And then
Right,
the other aspects of their health, that's like icing on the cake. But you
right.
don't get people using those that aren't into the chiropractic lifestyle.
No,
And
no,
that's
no.
where people have other technologies and people come in, well, I do this for my knee, but they're not under chiropractic care.
Yeah.
Like
No,
that
that makes
doesn't exist in your practice.
no. It's like, why would you take a vitamin if this is talking about the vagal nerve function, right? Like if you want your gut to work, you need an upper cervical adjustment to allow that vagus nerve to tell the gut what to do. So if you're taking a bunch of vitamins and your gut is not digesting them, then you're really just pouring money down the drain. And
Down
so
the toilet.
therefore, anybody who wants proper gut health, right? You hear that all the time. You hear about the microbiota and proper gut health. Well, guess what? It all starts with that cranial nerve 10. It's all about that vagus nerve. So we measure vagus nerve in our office. We do a lot of neurological testing, and we show the patient what their HRV is, their heart rate variability is. We show them things like blood pressure lying down and standing. We have a lot of objective measurements that's totally chiropractic, and they can see what effect that the adjustment has upon the nerve system.
Yeah. That's why you don't give vitamins to dead people.
That's
Yeah,
right, Joe.
awesome.
That's what I
There's
tell
a
people.
Boreal line, man.
Listen,
right
you can give
there,
vitamins
dude.
all day long, but you know what tells your body to be alive? Your nervous system. You're gonna give the dead people? No. So that's why your nervous system's important. We're gonna get you alive first, so the vitamin does what it's supposed to do.
Dude, how's
You know what's
that
funny,
for a
like,
And take
pattern
the
interruption?
vitamin.
Joe, you know what I love about you? Is like I go into this whole vagal function and cranial nerve tend to my patients how that vagus nerve tells the gut what to do. And you just come up with like such a classic, easy to understand one liner. And I forget about my science. Like I'm just gonna tell them that.
Yeah, I know, man. That's what you get for being smart. Joe's like, don't give vitamins to dead people.
So let me
Face
get
down.
this straight. You don't give vitamins to dead people?
Yeah, man. Come
Wow.
on. And then what follows? Face down.
That's right. Why am I looking at your face? I hate your dentist. That's our line in the office.
Not your
Why am I
esthetician.
looking
Why
at you
am I
right
looking
now?
at
What
your
am I, your
face?
dentist? Lay down. Come on, let's go. Let's vertebrae up, man. Let's get you adjusted. Come on. Come
Vertebrae
on.
up.
Lay down,
That's
face down,
literally your
baby.
conversation. Vertebrae
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
That's so
Face down,
awesome.
vertebrae up.
That's right.
Dude, Doug, you're using those you're using those liners today.
I'm going to. I can't wait. It's go time for me in 7 minutes. Joe, we have like this one room, and it's my heaven on earth. It's 6 tables in there, and I guarantee you that line is coming.
I love it. I got one of my funniest things I ever said in my office, which I'll share with you guys. Frank Carbone, Italian guy that I take care of. He's 92 years old.
Wow.
Right? He went to a chiropractor years ago, like decades earlier. It hasn't been yet or since. And he's having this tremendous neck pain. I take care of a few family members, come to Dr. Borio. So he can't hear too well. He's a wonderful man. And I saw him like 2 times, 3 times, and he's complaining that he's not feeling better, you know. So in his mind, as we all know, you know, the last time they went, you know, back when, Ike Eisenhower was running for pres, right? He's thinking, I only went once and it, you know, took care of everything, whatever. I mean, his mind. So anyway, so he's complaining, he's not feeling better. This is going on for like a couple times. And he's up front and he's like, I'm not feeling any better. I don't know that I'm going to come back. I paid all this money. And I walk up, I go, Frank, listen, tell me what's going on. And he's like, I'm not, there's an offices full of people. I'm not feeling any better. I've been here a couple times. I'm not feeling better. I go, Frank, listen, I didn't have the heart to tell you. I said, but you actually died 5 years ago. So I'm working on a corpse, buddy. It's going to take a while. You got to give it some time. I'm telling you, man, he laughed so hard. The whole office was laughing. And that guy, he got it. He just kept coming in, you know, 3-4 months later, felt 100% better, still sticks with his care today. It was just one of those funny things, man. It cracks me up. So,
Hey, Joe, I have a question for you.
yeah.
So, because you teach a program, obviously.
Yeah.
Power passion.
Now, you're not in your office anymore, or are you on occasion, or are you done practicing?
No, as far as adjusting, yeah, no, I don't adjust anymore since
Okay,
June.
so if there's anybody with a personality and wit, it's you. So how did you transition, from your type of personality, because you have one of the best in the business. How was that transition?
Meaning what when you say that?
Like a person, because most practices are based upon the personality by which the initial doctor, I guess, created, right? So
transfer that to the docs or to the ones we
like
coach?
you have Boreal chiropractor.
Yeah, how do you reproduce what you did? Well, they're not going to reproduce because you saw 700 a day. So
yeah.
Well, you have all this wit, and like you can't teach that wit that you just come up with. That was just innate. That's just something that you were gifted with. That's not something you can necessarily teach. So and people accepted that type of energy in your office, and all of a sudden Joe's not there.
Yes, a couple of things. One, protocols, procedures, scripts. That helps. A phenomenally dedicated staff, which I have. Leanne Klein and Lisa Guerin, and then Lisa Marie Notaro. They are phenomenal. They are gifts from God. There's no doubt about that. We have two wonderful docs in the office, Dr. Elena Goki and Dr. Bert Salinger. And yeah, so that big part of it, and then training. One of the things I just heard, I think it was Steve Judson had, he puts out some videos, and it was really great. And I couldn't agree with him more that he talked about, just elevating people and being kind to people, like just smiling. Like, some of us, we do it naturally because of our personality, but just to walk up and shake hands and smile and say hi to somebody and love them that way, and sometimes that's all somebody needs. And I get goosebumps just talking about. There was an older woman I was taking care of for years, and we were rocking that day. We were rocking. So I remember I turned to punch something in the computer because I always give her a hug after. So I wasn't going to not hug her. I just turned to touch the computer, and then I was going to come back, and she thought I was walking away. And she said to me, Dr. Borio, she says, oh my God, please. She said, don't, your adjustment's great, but your hug's just as important. Don't leave without giving me a hug. So I hugged her, I gave her a big hug. She was probably in her late 70s, early 80s, Joyce, at the time. And she whispered in my ear, and she said, one of the reasons your hug, I want to cry just telling you about, one of your reasons your hug is so important is, she said, since my husband passed, you're the only man that puts his arms around me. So,
Oh man.
so just the love and the caring that you're giving people with the touch, with the adjustment, with a simple smile, with, hey, you look great today, you're going to have a great day today. I think we forget, and that's so much an interactive part of that moment, if I'm only with you a minute or two, to elevate their life, to connect innate, to share your day.
Hey, we got to wrap this up, but one of the things that I tell people, you want to grow your practice, stop being a doctor.
Yeah.
I know when I say, when I decided to be Fred instead of Dr. Fred, we doubled our practice.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what people come for.
Yeah.
Right. They
Look,
come for your heart.
Yeah. You got to be able to fall in love with the people you serve.
Yeah.
And that's, if I can't
Absolutely.
fall in love with them, then they need to move on. But
Yeah, absolutely.
that's my goal, is to love on and fall in love with every one of my patients.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, we got to wrap this up, man. Sorry we
Yep.
missed you through the middle part, Doug. We'll have to have Doug DiSiena part 2. But
Yeah.
real quick, what do you want to leave them with? I mean, I don't think you can get any better than fall in love with your patients. Is there anything else you want to leave them with?
Yeah, I think if you truly do fall in love with your patients and you give from that kind of love, I think the people will feel it. And you know what? This world needs that right now. And every time we lay hands on people and we're touching people, there is a spiritual reawakening taking place within that soul.
Yes.
And we are the privileged ones that are able to do it.
Yes, agreed.
Absolutely.
We're
the ones that are blessed by it.
Doug, honored to officially meet you. I've heard nothing but great, but I haven't really interacted with you in the degree that we have, other than the back of a car in Chicago with a few drinks in us. So I really enjoyed spending some time, and thanks for elevating my innate too. It was really wonderful to spend some time with you today.
I'm blessed to be able to know you a little bit better, Joe. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Cool, man. And Joe, you got Chiro. What's your next Chiro Passion event?
Oh my God, Fred! I can't even believe you asked. April 12th, we're having the Borio Boot Camp.
Oh,
I know,
nice.
You got the elite coaching boot camp too. No competition there, but yeah, it's awesome. We're going to be in Fort Lauderdale. It's all day Friday. It's intense. It's CAs, it's team, it's staff, it's doc, and it's going to be awesome. So we're really excited about it.
Hey, also,
Joe, can you please do something in Italy?
Yes.
Oh, we can. Yeah. Hey, and I'll speak to this personally. When we do our boot camp in Atlanta in June, I want to have you as a speaker.
Yeah,
Joe.
Yeah.
Doug spoke there a couple times. We need to have you back too, Doug. Okay. So yeah, we have our lifestyle retention coming up in Salt Lake City. Go to elitecoachingllc.com. The boot camps, certainly, man, they'll change your life one weekend. Same thing with Joe's, yours. And thanks so much for being on here, Doug. Love you, man. I'll see you, Doug.
Love you.
I get adjusted by Doug too.
Arrivederci. Arrivederci. Ci vediamo.
Ciao, paisano.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, man.
Love you guys.
Right. Yep, love you guys. Peace.